Lu Gongnu. Strange Tales from a Chinese Studio in Vernacular by Pu Songling. Large, medium and small. There was a scholar named Zhang Yudin in Zhaoyuan County who had a bohemian temperament and was studying in an abandoned temple. At that time, the magistrate of Zhaoyuan County was Lu Gong, who was from Sanhan. He has a daughter who specializes in hunting. Once, Zhang Sheng met Mr. Lu in the wild and saw that she was charming and graceful. She was wearing a brocade mink coat and riding a pony, just like the person in the painting. Back in the temple, every time I think of this woman's beauty, I can't forget it. Later, when he heard that the woman had died suddenly, Zhang Sheng was extremely sad. Because Lu Gong was far away from his hometown, he temporarily stored his daughter's coffin in a deserted temple where Zhang Sheng studied. Because Zhang Sheng had an acquaintance with Lu Gongnu, he respected her very much as if he were God. He would burn incense in front of Lu Gong's daughter's soul every morning, and he would always pay homage to her during meals. Every time he raised his glass of wine and congratulated the coffin of Lu Gongnu, he said, "I have just met you once, and I often think of you in my dreams. I never thought that a jade-like person like you would die. Although you are close to me now, but it is like thousands of miles away. What a pity. I have to be bound by etiquette when I am alive, and you should have no taboos when you are dead. If you have a spirit under the 9 springs, you should come here to comfort my admiration. Affection." I prayed on Zhang's birthday for nearly half a month. One night, he was reading under the lamp. Suddenly he looked up and saw Mr. Lu standing under the lamp with a smile. Zhang Sheng stood up in surprise and asked, and the woman said, "I'm grateful for your true love for me, and I will never forget it. So I came to meet you without avoiding the suspicion of elopement." Zhang Sheng was overjoyed, and the two of them had a good time together. After that, Mr. Lu didn't come every night. She said to Zhang Sheng, "When I was alive, I was good at riding horses and shooting arrows. I took pleasure in shooting deer and killing deer. It was a great sin. I will have nowhere to go after I die. If you really love me, why don't you recite 5,000 diamond sutras for me?" Volume 048. I will never forget you in my life. Zhang Sheng respectfully agreed to her request, and from then on he often got up at night to twist the beads and chant sutras in front of Lu Gong's daughter's coffin. Once, it happened to be a festival, and Zhang Sheng wanted to take Mr. Lu home to celebrate the festival. The woman was worried that her legs and feet were weak, and she could not walk. Zhang Sheng wanted to carry her on his back, but the woman agreed with a smile. Zhang Sheng was carrying a child on his back. It didn't feel heavy at all. After that, walking with her on his back became a common thing. When Zhang Sheng took the exam, he also carried her with him, but he had to go at night. One year, when the provincial examination was held, Zhang Sheng was going to take the exam. The woman said, "You are not lucky, so it will be in vain to go back and forth." Zhang Sheng listened to her words and did not go to take the exam. 4 or 5 years later, Duke Lu resigned from office and was too poor to hire a car to transport his daughter's coffin. So he planned to bury his daughter's coffin on the spot, but there was no cemetery. When Zhang Sheng learned about this, he said to Lu Gong, "I have a thin piece of land next to the temple, and I would like to bury your daughter-in-law." Lu Gong was overjoyed. Zhang Sheng also made arrangements to help with the funeral arrangements. Lu Gong was very grateful to Zhang Sheng, but he didn't know what Zhang Sheng wanted. Duke Lu resigned from office and went home. Zhang Sheng and his daughter were still as happy as ever. One night, the woman was lying in Zhang Sheng's arms, crying like rain, and said to Zhang Sheng, "We have been friends for 5 years, and now we have to part ways. I have received your kindness, and I will never be able to repay you in a few lifetimes." Zhang Sheng asked her in surprise. She said, "Thank you for your kindness to me, a person under the 9 springs. Now you have recited all the sutras for me, so I can be reborn into the Lu Hubu family in Hebei. If you don't forget today, in 15 years' time, on August 16th, I invite you to meet Lu Hubu at his house." Zhang Sheng also cried sadly and said, "I'm already over 30 years old now, and in 15 years' time, I will soon be now that we are in the coffin. What can we do if we meet?" The woman said, "I will be your slave in return." After a while, she added, You can send me 6 or 7 miles. There are many thorns along the way. It's hard for me to walk in a long skirt." After that, Zhang Sheng hugged Zhang Sheng's neck and walked her onto the road. When we got to the main road, we saw many carriages and horses beside the road. Some of the horses were riding one person, some were riding 2 people. Some of the carriages were already sitting on 3, 4, or even more than a dozen people. There was only one car decorated with gold flowers and hung with red embroidered curtains, and there was only an old woman sitting in it. When the old lady saw Lu Gongnu coming, she shouted, "Coming." The woman agreed, "Coming." The woman turned back to Zhang Sheng and said, "Send it here. You go back. Don't forget what I just said if so." Zhang Sheng agreed. The woman walked to the car, and the old woman stretched out her hand to pull her into the car. As soon as the bell rang, the carriage and horses walked away to a distant place. Zhang Sheng returned to the temple listlessly and wrote down the date of their meeting 15 years later on the wall. Thinking that chanting sutras has such a great effect, I chanted sutras more sincerely. He dreamed at night, and the man of God told him, "You have great ambitions, but you need to go to the South China Sea." He asked the god, "How far is the South China Sea?" The man of God said, "It is far away in the horizon, but as close as an inch in front of you." After waking up, he understood the meaning of the god and recited the Bodhi Sutra, practicing more sincerely. 3 years later, Zhang Sheng's eldest son Zhang Zheng and second son Zhang Ming entered high school one after another. Although Zhang Sheng suddenly became famous, he still insisted on practicing. Once, he dreamed that a man in green invited him to a palace. He saw a god, like a bodhisattva, sitting in the palace. He greeted him and said, "It's gratifying that you have done good deeds, but it's a pity that you can't live long. Fortunately, you asked God for instructions, which can extend your life." The student knelt down and kowtowed. The bodhisattva asked him to get up and sit down, and invited him to drink tea. The tea smelled like orchids. He also asked the boy to lead him to a pool to take a bath. The water in the pond is very clear and the fish in it can be seen clearly. Entering the pool, the water is very warm. Hold it up and smell it. It has the fragrance of lotus leaves. After a while, he gradually reached the depth, lost his footing and fell into the water. The water was as deep as his head. He suddenly woke up and was shocked. From then on, Zhang Sheng's body became stronger and his eyesight became clearer. He stroked his beard and all the white beard fell off. After a while, the black beard also fell off, and there were no wrinkles on his face. After a few months, his face looked like a child, as if he were 15 or 16 years old. Fortunately, Yu Yu is also like a child, not paying much attention to clothes, accessories, and etiquette. When something happened while playing, his 2 sons went to save him. Soon his wife died of old age and illness, and Zhang Sheng's sons wanted to marry him a daughter from a wealthy family as his stepmother. He said, "I will wait until I come back from Hebei." Zhang Sheng calculated on his fingers that it was time to meet Lu Gongnu. So he ordered his people to prepare horses and lead his servants to Hebei. When he inquired about it, he found out that there was Lu household department. Earlier, Lu Gong gave birth to a daughter. She could speak when she was born. She became smarter and more beautiful when she grew up. Her parents loved her the most. Some wealthy families came to propose marriage, but their daughters were unwilling. Her parents found it strange and asked her about her daughter's marriage in detail. Everyone counted the time for her and laughed and said, "Silly girl, Zhang Lang is now over 50 years old. Due to personnel changes, he is afraid that his bones will rot. Even if he is still alive, he will be old-fashioned." The daughter refused to listen, but still wait. Seeing that her determination was unwavering, her mother conspired with Lu Gong and asked the doorkeeper not to inform the guests. After the appointment was over, she would despair. Sure enough, Zhang Sheng came to visit soon, but the gatekeeper did not inform him. Zhang Sheng had no choice but to return to the hotel. Feeling unhappy and having no other choice, he went to the countryside to relax and take this opportunity to secretly inquire about the woman. After being entrusted with the child, Lu Gongnu thought that Zhang Sheng had broken the promise and cried all day long and refused to eat. Her mother said to her, "If Zhang is not born, he must be dead. Even if he is alive and has violated the covenant, it is not your fault." The woman did not say anything and lay in bed all day long. Lu Gong was very worried and wanted to know what kind of person Zhang Sheng was. So he made an excuse to go on an outing and happened to meet Zhang Sheng. When they saw that he was a young man, they were very surprised and exchanged a few words with each other. Seeing that Zhang Sheng was charming and unrestrained, Mr. Lu liked him very much and invited him to his home. Just as Zhang Sheng was about to ask a question, Lu Gong suddenly stood up and asked the guest to wait a moment. He hurried into the inner room and told his daughter. The daughter was very happy and struggled to get up. When she came out, she saw that she did not look like Zhang Sheng. So she went back to her room crying and complained that her father had lied to her. Lu Gong tried his best to prove that this person was Zhang Sheng, but his daughter didn't say anything and just cried. When Lu Gong came out, he was depressed and no longer received Zhang Sheng warmly. Zhang Sheng asked, "Is there anyone in charge of the household department in your house?" Lu Gong casually responded yes and looked away, as if he didn't feel that there was a guest. Zhang Sheng felt that he was being treated unfairly, so he left. Mr. Lu just cried, and she cried to death in a few days. Zhang Sheng had a dream at night and saw Lu Nu coming to him and saying, "Is it really you who came to see me? Your age and appearance have changed, and you didn't recognize me when I met you. Now I have died of sorrow. I want you to come to the land as soon as possible. The temple can bring back my soul, and I can still be resurrected. If it's too late, it will be too late." Zhang Sheng woke up and hurriedly called Lu Hubu's door. Sure enough, his daughter had been dead for 2 days. Zhang Sheng was so sad that he went into the house to express condolences and told Lu Gong what happened in his dream. Duke Lu listened to his words and hurriedly went to Tuta Temple to retrieve his daughter's soul. He opened the quilt again, touched his daughter's body, called her name, and prayed. Not long after, I heard a gurgling sound in my daughter's throat. She opened her red lips, spit out a mouthful of phlegm that looked like ice cubes, and gradually began to moan. Lu Gong was so happy that he invited Zhang Sheng to sit in the living room and ordered a banquet. After asking about Zhang Sheng's family background, he found out that his family was a wealthy family and he became even more happy. So he chose a good and auspicious day and ordered his daughter to marry Zhang Sheng. Zhang Sheng lived in Lu Gong's mansion for half a month and then took his wife home. Lu Gong personally escorted his daughter and lived in Zhang's mansion for half a year before returning home. Zhang Sheng and his wife lived together, really like a young couple. Many people think that Luna's daughter-in-law is her mother-in-law, because her daughter-in-law is nearly 40 years old. After Lu Gong returned home, he died a year later. The son was very young and was bullied by powerful people. Almost all the family property was taken away by others. Zhang Sheng and his wife took him in and raised him, and they became a family.
Alright, this story has come to an end. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you.